All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are taking a deep dive into a really big proposal, one that could have completely changed the game for how essential services are managed for everyone in the Hearst Creek Mud and the Village of the Hills.
I want you to just think about that for a second. What if the local group that handles your water, your wastewater, the one you count on every single day, just wasn't there anymore? It's a pretty wild thought, isn't it?
Well, believe it or not, a proposal was actually on the table to do exactly that. And honestly, we have to give a huge shout out to the reporting from the Hills Observer. They dug into the official documents, and because of their work, we can now really break down what this was all about.
So, first things first, what exactly was this consolidation plan we're talking about? Let's define it. Okay, the wording here is super important. This wasn't a friendly partnership. The proposal called for the complete dissolution of the Hearst Creek Mud. That means everything, the board, the pipes in the ground, the staff, all of it, would be totally absorbed by the Village of the Hills. And, this wasn't something that could just happen overnight with a flip of a switch. Oh, no. We're talking about a super complex legal process that was estimated to take a year, maybe even a year and a half, full of messy agreements between a bunch of different government groups. All right, let's get to the question that's probably on your mind right now, the money. Did this plan actually save anybody any money? Because that's usually the main selling point for these kinds of things, right? So according to the official analysis, the potential savings from this whole thing would have been about $17,000 a year. Okay, 17,000. It's a number, but it definitely doesn't tell the whole story. Because to get to those savings, you'd first have to spend a whole lot more. The one-time upfront costs, for lawyers and all the paperwork, were estimated to be over $100,000.
And this chart just lays it all out perfectly, doesn't it? The upfront cost absolutely dwarfs the annual savings. You'd be waiting almost 6 years just to break even. And that's before we even talk about the biggest financial landmine in this whole deal.
See, here's the kicker. The Hearst Creek Mud doesn't just serve the Village of the Hills. It also provides water to a bunch of properties that are outside those boundaries. We're talking big taxable properties and dozens of homes. So if the consolidation went through, all those properties would just be cut from the tax base. And the result? An estimated loss of $130,000 in tax revenue every single year. All of a sudden, that 17 grand in savings seems kind of pointless, doesn't it?
But believe me, the problems weren't just financial. When the Mud Board really dug in, they found all these other hidden risks and hurdles that you'd never see on a balance sheet.
This is a huge one. A lot of the really critical infrastructure, like water towers and major pipelines, are physically outside the Village of the Hills. And Texas law is kind of fuzzy on this. There's no automatic way to just hand those over. That creates a massive legal gray area and the risk of literally losing control of your own water supply.
The proposal also meant that all 11 of the Mud's full-time employees would be terminated. Now, they would have been offered jobs with the village, but still, that's a huge disruption.
Because we're not just talking about jobs here. We're talking about years and years of specialized, hands-on knowledge of our specific water systems. You can't just replace that overnight. Losing that kind of expertise is a real threat to the quality of service you get at your tap. And then there's the mountain of red tape. Critical permits from the state, contracts for raw water from the LCRA, even local deals with the country club. Everything would have to be transferred or renegotiated. Each one of those steps is a place where things could get delayed, complicated, or just flat out denied. So after looking at all of this, the shaky finances, the operational risks, the legal headaches, what did the Hearst Creek Mud Board actually decide to do? Let's get to the final verdict. On January 12th, the decision came down, and it was crystal clear. The board voted unanimously. Yep, every single member agreed to formally oppose the consolidation plan. No ambiguity there. Their official resolution put it as plainly as possible. Consolidation would not serve the best interests of HCMUD residents and customers. I mean, it really doesn't get more direct than that. So this slide really just puts a bow on their whole investigation. The board basically said, look, this plan is a financial nightmare, it makes our operations less stable, it's a legal mess, and at the end of the day, it offers absolutely no real benefits to the residents. Case closed. So why do we care about all this? Well, it's simple. Water is one of those things you just take for granted. It's invisible until it isn't. When it works, you don't even think about it. But the moment it doesn't, you feel that impact immediately. And that's exactly why any decision about who controls these services needs to be put under a microscope. It demands transparency. And it's why the work of local journalism, like what the Hills Observer did here, is so incredibly important. They bring the facts to light so residents can actually be aware of what's happening in their own backyard. And that really just leaves us with one final big question. It's something that goes way beyond this one proposal and gets to the very heart of how our communities are run. When it comes down to it, for the services you can't live without, who do you want in control?